Hey Soul Family, I was guided to share something that happened to me, and I wanted to relate it around like an example of what healthy love looks like. And I wasn't sure if I should share it, but then as I was driving on the freeway, a billboard came across my line of vision that said the number one leading cause of death in children in the United States is gun injury or gun violence. Now, I'm not just talking about crimes and school shootings and stuff like that, but also just injury, accidental injury to guns and homeowners that have guns. And I'm not against guns. I honestly think it's our right, divine right, to have a gun to protect ourselves. I believe in the First Amendment, but I also believe in safety and being smart and wise and discerning, and to protect other people and the other side of it that may be coming across it that don't have the level of knowledge and awareness of how dangerous guns are. Children, okay? So I do want to, so I've been speaking out a lot about like what divine love is. It's not perfect love. We are all called to constantly try to drop into a love like Jesus and God and everything, but only God is perfect, okay? And we are not. We are humans. If we were perfect, we'd be in the angelic realm, and maybe that's our destiny and this next life. But right now we're humans living in this body, going through things, meeting people. And the point of love, divine unconditional love, is not to be perfect. A lot of us think we need to have that chiseled body, that big old bank account, and like nice fancy cars, all healed up, no issues whatsoever to come to the table. That is not realistic. It's not practical. It's not normal for humans to not have stuff. We've all been through stuff from a very young age. Our childhood wounds, relationship wounds, we in school, programming, our culture, things like that. None of us are void of that. We're all effed up in our own ways. The point is coming together, right? And saying, you got stuff, I got stuff. Let's talk about it. Let's heal it. Let's work through it. Let's resolve issues. Resolving conflict is the hugest thing. And I actually want to bring up the gun, back to the gun, circling back, because I had a partner who did not resolve conflict with me very well, and it created a distrust and a lack of feeling safe when I couldn't bring issues to the table and be met with respect and mutual understanding and good conversation and healing and resolve. And I was met with petty. Like, I found a gun in the closet that was not in a locked case and had bullets in it. And I just was met with pettiness and argument, and like, I didn't think your kids would be stupid enough to do anything with it, and I just wanted to protect everybody. And like, instead of just being like, oh shoot, yeah, you're right, I should have thought of that, I'm gonna go get a case for it right away, thanks for bringing it to my attention, it was met with being petty. Like, I didn't, like I said, I didn't think your kids would be stupid enough to do something with it. Fine, I'll get rid of it. And like, I was never saying get rid of it. I was saying I was trying to say, hey, and I was really upset when I saw the gun and not in a case. I had moved in with someone, and I had reservations that they weren't going to be able to lead and be a partner. I had that intuition. Like, I don't think he gets it. Like, I'm a single mom of kids. I just don't think he gets it. He didn't have any kids of his own. And that wasn't the only issue that we had. But this in particular individual, like, I felt, I'm not sure they're really going to get it. But I gave them the chance because they begged that they could. And I allowed, fine God, you put this person in my path to be a partner for me. They obviously come in guns a-blazing with all the desire and intent in the world. Let's just see if they can handle it. And like, that's a lot of times my romantic relationships end like that. I meet somebody, it's great connection, great this, great that, lots of green flags. And then I'm like, okay, we'll just wait and see. I've learned to not get attached too early. Even if I really like somebody and have a crush on them and I'm cuckoo crazy, I still know deep down, like, all right, they need to kind of pass these different levels of things. Like, just because you have a good connection with somebody and there's green flags doesn't mean they're going to be there for the long haul, right? And this is all circling back to this gun conversation. And I don't want to get into a debate on guns or no guns. I'm just saying, like, this is a perfect example of presence in a relationship is more important than perfection. And I was looking for some presence there. I was looking for some acknowledgement of my concerns. And even if the person couldn't understand, because they didn't have kids of their own, they've been able to live their whole entire adult life without having to worry about that. But you still might have kids in your home. you still could have neighbor kids in your home, your nieces and nephews. Like, even if my kids would have been smart enough, no, not to do anything, we have friends. We bring friends over. They play hide and seek. Like, just when somebody is so immature and lacks awareness of just like themselves and how they show up in the world, I'm sorry, it's just so disrespectful. And for a woman, we need to feel, I don't think guys realize how much we walk around in the world of not feeling safe. Like, there's a threat to us all over the place because we are women and we're a little bit more vulnerable. I'm not saying men don't get taken advantage of. I'm not saying that at all. But like, kind of like women and children, and the elderly, we're a little bit more vulnerable. A guy can walk down the street and probably not worry about getting jumped or mugged or whatever. A woman is always worried about that. Even when I go for walks in the parks that I go to, once in a while, I'll get a funny vibe like, I don't feel right about being here alone. There's a woods right there. Like, you just never know, right? I'm always thinking about that. My real estate career, it worries me going to open houses and stuff like that. I don't think guys really have a sense of like what we go through on a day-to-day basis, especially since we're obviously the child bearers. We bring children into the world. We're always looking and scanning our environment for safety and for protection. And we're looking for a man to do that for us, provide that for us. And it's even in conversation and safety, emotional safety, right? And in this situation, I didn't have any expectation, but how I was met with pettiness and argument and defensiveness over something so huge like that, it really was off-putting and it really made me feel unsafe. And it was honestly the beginning of the end. There was other things that had happened before, but it was the beginning of the end. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, so this person ended up kind of gaslighting me into believing I didn't know anything about guns, that yeah, there were bullets in it, but it was in the chamber and you have to like do a certain thing. And that, so first he tried to gaslight me that I didn't know, and then later he lied to me and said, oh no, the bullets were in a separate container somewhere else. Like, when he realized like I wasn't having it, I wasn't having the gaslighting of don't tell me that I don't know about guns. It's not like the gun was totally empty and blank sitting by itself. It had no case around it. And then when that didn't go over well, instead of being fucking honest, he had plenty of opportunities in that conversation to be honest. And like, dang, it would have, had he said, I don't expect perfection, but had he said, shit, you're right, I don't have kids, I didn't even think of that, and I'm like, thanks for bringing that to my attention, I'm gonna go, I'll grab the gun real quick, I'm gonna go get a case for it, don't worry about it, it will not come back to the house until it's got a lockbox or one of those little finger ID panels or whatever. And I'd been like, thank you so much for taking it seriously. End of the conflict, okay? And then maybe some more interesting conversations of like, hey, you know, we have kids in the neighborhood, you know, coming over, it's not just my kids, but that's not how I was met. It ended up turning into a blowout conversation and it lasted weeks as far, because I couldn't let it go. I could not let it go. And that is not my fault that I couldn't let it go. It's his fault that he didn't make me feel safe, that he lacked awareness. And when he was confronted with challenge, this person is kind of just meant to live the soft life. They really haven't had to like challenge themselves and grow and evolve. And like, I don't know what I was thinking, but anyways, I'm going to challenge if I need to, and I expect to be challenged as well. And I actually don't even need somebody to challenge me, because half the time I'm doing it myself. I'm so hard on myself. I'm always looking at my emotions, my stuff. Like, why did I say this? Why did I feel that? Ooh, I think I might have hurt their feelings. I lose sleep over shit. I make sure I'd apologize. I don't really need anybody shining that light on me. But you know, spiritual baddies, the ones that are tapped in and tuned to their intuition and their heart, oftentimes we shine lights on other people around us on their stuff. Okay, and they can't handle it. But they are given the chance to call up and rise up out of their ego and rise up and have the self-awareness and the discipline to be like, shit, yeah, maybe you do know better than me. Thank you for showing me that. That's what a feminine does for a masculine, right? Helps them rise up to their divine calling as a man. And this, and a lot of it, people can't handle it. Okay, they just prefer to be back in their ego where they feel safe, because how they're perceived is more important to them than being integrity and dropping in truth. Wanting to look a certain way, he didn't want to come across as irresponsible, even though he was. So to cover that, his ego got inflated, I think, in that moment. And to cover that, and I was being kind. I mean, I was direct, but I was still being kind and respectful at that point. And to cover that wound that he was feeling, that was already within him, I just shone a light on it. I didn't create the wound. He had the wound of immaturity. Instead of meeting, rising up to the challenge of like, dang, I was really immature on that. He got angry and petty and tried to gaslight me and then flat out lied. And I'm sorry, that does not create emotional safety. And then he could not understand why I felt so disconnected in my heart in the relationship, and things started falling apart. He was like just too dumb and ignorant and did not see with higher perspective or spiritual eyes. A lot of people are just walking around like robots, not self-aware at all of their stuff or other people's stuff. And when you try to point it up to them, they still can't freaking see. And so you just kind of need to, at that point, then, more things happened like that were very related to that. But at that point, then I was just like, I'm not going to spend my day, my weeks trying to convince this person to see what I so clearly can see with my spiritual, wise, discerning eyes. Like, we're just not speaking the same language. And I know he felt that disconnect. I know he felt like unequal in that regard. And so I think a lot of us women need to remember, like, yeah, we may not be bringing in all this money and these cars and whatever as a guy can provide in that way. Women are providing for themselves, but a lot of us women who are rich in the spirit, that's what we bring to the table. That is our divine gifting, and that is what we bring to partnership. And that is 11:22 on the clock. And it's by God's design that we support our partner in that way, helping them see things clearly where their blind spots are, right? And then they can provide and protect in certain way and keep us physically safe in other ways. And obviously the situation I'm talking about made me feel very physically unsafe as well. And I said, oh my God, I would never have been able to forgive you if something would have happened to one of my kids or the neighbor kid because of that. I'm so glad in 12:12 I am looking at on my clock right now. Spiritual alignment. Okay, so I'm like, holy shit, I'm glad I found that. I would never been able to live with myself for trusting you to lead us properly, and I would never have forgiven you. And that made it worse when I said that, but he just didn't get it. And I don't think he ever, fine, I'll get rid of it. I don't think he ever brought that gun back home. And honestly, I wanted the gun there. I wanted there to be something that could protect us in the case of an invasion. And I got a crazy ex and stuff like that I do worry about sometimes. And I'm disappointed because now that got taken away as well. That's not what I asked for. And I continue to clearly advocate for that. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying don't have it in the house until we have a case for it. I think I was being very fair, very respectful. But I was being very direct and clear. And a lot of people can't stand that when you call them out on and hold them accountable for behavior. And that's not my fault. Those are deficits in that person that I was just shining a light on. And that's how you know. That's how you also can know if somebody is true for you. Like, God can bring someone in your life. They can look really good on paper. They can have a lot of green flags, but it's not until you try to solve conflict with them and have arguments. And I would just not even say arguments, disagreements on how to do life, right? That or if you go on vacation with them in a very stressful situation, and I also saw this person in a different light too. We had been going through kind of a lot of stress and getting in the house ready. And I saw him snap in a lot of ways when he felt under pressure that he had hidden from me. And I think he was wearing a mask for a long time, and I sensed that, but I couldn't really know for sure until I saw it with my own eyeballs, right? How does this person handle things when they're under extreme pressure? When you address issues, how do they handle conflict? So this is an example of something that happened to me, and maybe you can relate to it. Now you can just apply it to your own life. And again, I'm not wanting to get into a gun debate, but it was just the pointing out, presence is what is perfect, not perfection. And it's not even real. Perfection's not even real. And I guess you got to define what your idea of perfection is. Are you looking at somebody who looks really amazing on paper, got the 6 figures, got the car, the chiseled body, but they're just shallow and hollow and unaware and can't see things from a higher perspective? I guess you got to define what perfect in your eyes is. To me, perfect is not the most chiseled body in the biggest bank account. Perfect to me is somebody that makes me feel safe emotionally, physically, spiritually, protects me in those ways above all else, because that's what really matters in the end. We're not gonna be able to take any of our money. We're not gonna be able to take our perfect chiseled body, our perfect hair, skin, nails, lashes, booties, whatever, bank accounts. I think I said that. We're not going to take that with us. to heaven, you know. And we're only going to get perfect, and every trial we go through and every failed relationship we have, as long as we're learning from it, we're getting more and more perfect by the day, and we're getting more Christ-like by the day, more God-like by the day. God lives within us, and we are called in each of these situations. And you know, that unfortunately for that person, I learned a lesson in that. I learned a lesson that, wow, I really don't feel I don't feel safe, even physically safe, if I'm not emotionally safe, if I can't come to the table with concerns. As a grown-ass woman to a grown-ass man, if I can't come to the conversation and hope to get feeling safe, I'm not going to feel physically safe, and it's going to be the demise of the relationship, and I'm going to need to move on to someone that can provide that for me. And in this situation, I don't think that person learned. They stayed angry at me, and I really don't think they got it. They didn't really understand, and I never saw them pray or reflect or anything on it. Like, I didn't see them say, you know what, I'm really angry about this. I'm going to have to go sit with this. Let me go pray about this and get some guidance. Nope, not once did they do that. Okay, so that's constantly what I'm doing. And I'm doing the freaking hard work of doing all that constantly. Why, dear Lord, please help me. Why did I get so angry with this? Why is this coming up more? I'm struggling in my finances. Help me, show me how can I improve? I'm constantly doing that, and this person didn't. And a lot of people don't. They do discount that part of themselves. And like, so you know what? That person didn't deserve me, because I do come to the table very rich in spirit and emotional awareness, and I bring that to the family, to the home. And I think a lot of us are discounting our place in that and how important and integral it is, and what we bring to this world in that, and our intuition and our safety that we provide those spiritually and energetically. And even when we pray over our families and everything, like, that's spiritual. You're a spiritual baddie. And I just think we deserve better than some of these men that can't even meet themselves in their own wounding and can't face their own ego, and that continually drop into their ego and let their ego win in every conversation. That person chose ego over love. I was trying to choose love, like, hey, I don't understand why you do this, but I'm not going to be angry with you initially. I ended up being angry later, how it was up, but that's not my initial reaction. I was scared mostly, you know, for the safety of everybody. And then and I didn't drop into my ego. I stayed in truth, in divine truth and wisdom and discernment. And this person likes to make me feel like it's my fault because I'm holding them accountable, but it's not. Okay, and that's the truth of the matter. And I think a lot of us are holding on to maybe guilt, where maybe we said too much, or maybe we felt too much. No, you're not too much. They're just too little, okay? They do not see things the way that you do. And instead of trying to pound a round peg in a square hole over and over again, getting them to try to hear and see, you just need to move on to find somebody that does speak your language, that can see you, that sees the richness that you bring and is grateful for helping them open their eyes. Okay, that's the difference. And I just looked at my temperature, and it's 7.7. All right, I'm going to end this here, but hopefully you can relate to that. Again, I don't want to get into a war over guns. Okay, please look at the higher perspective in this and what I'm trying to help you discern, and the difference between presence and perfection in relationship, and how that can look. Okay, all right, bye.